Hello guys, welcome back. Now today I wanted to talk about who I think will luck out to get first overall in the draft lottery and most likely to draft Rasmus Dahlin. Now it's basically unanimous at this point that basically everyone has Rasmus Dahlin as their first overall pick. Now there is a couple exceptions. Maybe one team wants to draft Svechnikov or somebody first overall, but I don't think that's really likely for any of these teams. I think all these teams do want Rasmus Dahlin. He was good at the Olympics. He was good at the World Juniors, and really he was made a showcase to really be first overall. He's just been playing fantastic, and of course, just a pure skill set. I don't think anybody can really just pass on Rasmus Dahlin, especially if they get first overall. Now I have the bottom 10 teams right here. Now there is a slight possibility that the teams outside of the top 10 could possibly get first overall, and that would be something crazy. That would actually be something special if a team that just missed out in the playoffs, let's say that's the Florida Panthers, they get first overall. That would be pretty cool to see there, but I don't think, of course, it's not very likely. The Devils this past year were, I think, they were around 5th overall, something like that, and they jumped to first overall, so it's not too likely that stuff like that will happen, but of course it is a possibility. But of course, I'm just going to talk about the top 10 teams and who I think will actually have a decent chance at it. Now we're going to start with the 10th ranked team in the NHL right now. We're going to start with the New York Islanders, who are at a 29-9 record. There's a lot of 9s in that record, but they haven't been all that great lately. And, they could definitely use a guy like Dahlin. He has the offensive powerhouse. He is great offensively, which I don't know if they can necessarily need, but he's a defenseman. Islanders could definitely use that. Now, if I don't really see the Islanders doing that. Maybe the NHL wants to entice the Bears to stay. I don't really know why they really want that. I mean, the NHL lottery is locked, and if you want to say it's rigged, you could go for that. But if it is rigged, then I don't know why the NHL want the New York Islanders to have it on as, per se, a team like the Rangers or something like that. But for the Islanders, there's potential there if they do miss the playoffs, and of course they do need defense, so it would be a good fit there, but I just don't think it's really likely. The Islanders do have the firepower, and I don't necessarily think that they need it, but it would definitely help them. And just barely at number 9, you have New York Rangers at 30-6. They are on the rebuild. They're probably going to do worse than they were at the start of the year, so they're probably going to be on the decline. They'll probably be lower than that in a few weeks. I could see them being lower than at rank number 9, maybe get to like 7, 6, 5 maybe. But I don't know if they'll go on the full tank, but just probably lower a little bit. They'll probably won't be 500, but they'll probably be a lot lower than that. And they could definitely use a guy like Dahlin, of course, to jumpstart that accelerated rebuild. You could definitely get Dahlin, that would help exponentially. Putting Dahlin in a market like New York would be fantastic for the NHL, having a superstar like that. But really, New York Rangers haven't had for a long time on that blue line. It would be very good for them. That could be the next captain, really, for them. That would be cool to see. And really, for the New York Rangers, it is a good fit. I don't know if it's quite likely, but I know it's definitely not out of the question there. Then you got the Chicago Blackhawks ranked number 8 at 28-30-8, and if the NHL, I don't care what happens. I don't care if the Pittsburgh Penguins win the Stanley Cup. I do not want the Blackhawks to win the lottery. That's just what all I want. All I want from the NHL. Please do not let the Blackhawks get in the lottery. Please don't let them get the top 3, preferably, but please do not let them win the lottery. That would just suck, especially in the draft in Dallas. A lot of Dallas fans will probably be salty about that. If the Blackhawks draft first overall, I'd pretty much be done with life. Next up, you have an interesting, story with the Red Wings here. They're at 26-29-10, and they could definitely use a guy like Dahlin in their cap situation. They're just pretty much screwed, so they could definitely use basically a savior like Rasmus Dahlin on their franchise, and he would look very good in Red Wings uniform. He could be, I wouldn't say he's the next Lidstrom, but he'd be quite close to that, and that would be pretty cool for the Red Wings organization to have almost a second coming of like Nicholas Lidstrom. That would just be great for them, and it does make sense to go to the Red Wings for them to win first overall. They've been kind of out of the playoffs and kind of just meh for the past couple of years, and maybe bless them with a first overall pick. That would be kind of cool, especially since he's such a comparable guy to Nicholas Lidstrom. It would just be a cool story overall. Next up, we'll talk about the first Canadian team in the Montreal Canadiens, who are 25-29-11. They're in a tough situation here. They've had an off season, of course. Some people expected it to happen, some people didn't. But really, the offense has trailed off and all of that. So we all know what the Montreal Canadiens' problems are. And I get Rasmus Dahlin would really fix that. Of course, they need defense. That's a big problem for them. And for Rasmus Dahlin, it's basically the better Sergachev that they traded away. And for them, that's really what they they needed. You know, they needed Sergachev, they traded out away. So if they get Rasmus Dahlin, that's another chance for them to just recoup what they got and have another top 4 defenseman that'll be good right now, but fantastic in the future. And that's something that they really do need. I don't think that it's really likely that the Canadiens will win it because they haven't won the draft lottery in a long time. But it would be cool to see. They definitely do need it, and for the Canadiens, it would definitely be basically a shining light in a franchise that's kind of dwindling right now. And then we have the Edmonton Oilers, who are 28, 34, and 4, which, if the Edmonton Oilers win the draft lottery, I wouldn't technically be mad about it because I do like the Oilers, but man, that would just be brutal for a lot of fan bases. If the Edmonton Oilers get first overall again and somehow blow it with Rasmus Dahlin in his development, it's really what the Edmonton Oilers need. An offensive D-man that can play defense as well, a good two-way guy who's going to be the face of the franchise. Well, not if Connor McDavid's there, but the face of the defense for a long time. That's really what the Edmonton Oilers do need. They could definitely use a guy like that first overall. But really, the Oilers, if they get the first overall draft lottery again, I think that's like 4 times in the last 10 years, something like that, and that would just be ridiculous. That would be just a salt in the wound for a lot of fan bases. That would really suck, but for the Edmonton Oilers fan base to get another chance after a tough season, it would make sense, and of course, the draft lottery is favoring the Edmonton Oilers in this past 4 years. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Next, we got the Vancouver Canucks at 25, 32, and 9. And of course, with Besser being injured, that's probably going to go down that record. Probably they might get to top 3. Senators might pass them as well. But for the Canucks, they do have a decent chance. And for getting Dahlin, that's really a centerpiece that they do need on the defense. It would help in year 1 after this year. And it would definitely help them on the defensive side. They got Levy, but they probably need another piece in that defensive prospect pool. And of course, Dahlin fits that perfectly. He'll be NHL ready next year. And of course, that is the transition year where you got other guys coming up, and probably Levy, probably like guys like Adam Gaudette. There's lots of guys that are going to be transitioning next year, maybe to AHL, maybe NHL, but there's going to be lots of players at the prospects that are going to take that NHL step next year. And if Rasmus Dahlin does get drafted by the Vancouver Canucks, if the Vancouver Canucks get first overall for probably, I think it's the first time in their franchise history, that would be pretty just ridiculous for them. And if they could do that, they basically get a centerpiece on their defense that they pretty much desperately need. Then you got the Ottawa Senators, who are third last in the NHL at 23, 32, and 10. Now, I'm not going to go into everything about them, but they're pegged to be a playoff contender, and they aren't that. They're third last in the NHL, basically terribly underperforming expectations, and of course, they would definitely need a guy like that to basically surpass Erik Karlsson. Now, Erik Karlsson, it would take less pressure on him to be traded or not to be traded, because then if Erik Karlsson gets traded, then Rasmus Dahlin will probably be the next guy up and coming, and that'd probably make him a lot more sense, but I don't know if Ottawa is really likely to get the first overall pick. I think they're going to drop a little bit. I don't think that's really necessarily likely that they'll get the first overall pick, but of course, anything can happen there. Then you got the Sabres, who are second last in the NHL at 21, 34, and 11. If any team really desperately needs Dahlin, I say that the Buffalo Sabres desperately need him. They got nobody really that's exponentially great on the blue line. They got Ristolainen, but he isn't too great. He's a decent player, but he isn't fantastic. Now, they definitely need another guy on that defense to be a lot better. The defense has really underperformed a lot of people's expectations. I thought it was going to be probably the biggest strength of theirs. It really hasn't contributed like they were supposed to. It would definitely bulken and strengthen that blue line. It would definitely make it a lot better. And the Buffalo Sabres really do need a guy like that, and they really need to luck out and get first overall in the draft lottery like they haven't for the past couple of years, and they really need to get lucky here, but I don't know if it's quite possible. It is a big chance that they could, but again, it's far unlikely that they will, but they can definitely luck out on it, and if any team really needs it, I think it's Buffalo Sabres. And then last and not least, you got the Arizona Coyotes at 20, 34, and 11, who are last in the NHL. Of course, like a 10-game losing streak to start the season, and they've been better a lot lately. I think they were on like a 3-game winning streak, something like that, and then they went and kind of were back and forth. But they were a lot better recently, and they were looking to not be last in the NHL. They're probably trying to fight for that. But the Arizona Coyotes, of course, have the biggest chance. Of course, they are last in the NHL to get Rasmus Dahlin, and of course, they do need him desperately on that blue line. That blue line was pegged to be a lot better than it was, similar to Buffalo's, but they really have underperformed this year. They really hasn't been all that great, and of course they need a guy like that to really put up the youth on that blue line, because it kind of needs it right now, and of course the skill and just the pure skill on that blue line is really needed, and of course Rasmus Dahlin would fill that hole exponentially. Now I don't know if Dahlin will be very likely in Arizona. It'd probably be a death sentence for him, but for really the NHL standards, I think it would be pretty nice to see him in Arizona. to see a superstar there finally, and to get a good player out of there, for Arizona to finally look at a first overall and get a great player out of that. I think it would be nice to see. Now I'm gonna narrow down 3 teams that I think are most likely to get first overall picks in this coming draft. Now I'm gonna solidify who I think will most obviously or most likely get their first overall pick, but I'm gonna narrow down 3 teams that I think are most likely to get the first overall pick. The 3 teams I'm going to list out are the Detroit Red Wings, the Edmonton Oilers, and the Vancouver Canucks. Now, the Oilers, of course, have been winning draft lotteries first overalls many times before, so I think it is likely that they can do it again. Of course, it would be a riot if they did. Just be seriously, just absolutely, exponentially, and just furious fan bases that would happen if that actually happened. And I think that is still likely for that to happen. You know, put Rasmus Dahlin with McDavid, and really just game over at that point. And then you got the Vancouver Canucks, who I think kind of need that kind of player, and I think that Bettman, just overall, the draft lottery could favor the Vancouver Canucks for basically once in their franchise. That'd be nice to see. I think it does make sense, and probably the most I think most likely team to win the draft lottery is the Detroit Red Wings. Now, even though they're in just cap hell, they have lots of opportunities, and it make a lot of sense for Dahlin to get to first overall and to have the Red Wings take him. That'd be nice to see, have him in a Red Wings uniform. He just makes a lot of sense. I mean, the Red Wings do need a guy like that, and of course he brings a lot of youth and a lot of skill at blue line, and I think that having him in a Red Wings uniform just makes a whole ton of sense. Now, of course, the Coyotes, the Sabres, and the Senators have the best odds right now, but I just don't see them going. I just don't see it favoring the Coyotes. It probably doesn't favor the Sabres, and I don't think it'll favor the Senators. So I think there'll be a couple of teams that move up, and of course, there's the 3 teams that I think will have the most chance at least to get first overall. Now, I just watched some team be stupid enough to not take him first overall, and basically this whole video is up to waste, but we'll see. What's going on, guys? Like, subscribe, and not ring that bell if you haven't. Tell me down below who you think will win the draft lottery and take Dahlin first overall, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.